Welcome to Chalk Talk. I'm Chris Love.
I'm Zeke.
And Katie is working late, burning the midnight oil, and poor Jane just got done with wisdom teeth removal. We haven't seen her since then, but we have a picture generated by a computer of what we think she might look like. So for today, it's just going to be Zeke and me. Today on Chalk Talk, Zim Sailing Stud of the Week, a feature on Women's Championship weekend, photo assignment, and our predictions.
This week you all voted, and here is your Zim Sailing Stud of the Week. Nevin Snow from Georgetown for winning A at the trucks.
Well, the irony certainly hasn't slipped past us here on Chalk Talk, but this week we're going to do our first and only tribute to women's college sailing as we focus on the upcoming Women's Championships. And of course, there are no women here today.
Where are women?
Well, just as college sailing has done in years past, the conference championships that are coming up over the next few weeks will determine who goes on to nationals. Now, there's a formula based on the number of women's teams in each conference that says who gets to go on to the nationals semifinals. Unlike past years, no one is getting a bye to finals. It used to be that the top 9 teams would go straight to finals, the bottom 18 would hash it out, and then the top 9 from that regatta would go on to face finals. This year, 28 teams total are qualifying for 2 separate semifinals regattas, just as we've done in the co-eds the past few years.
So usually this time of year we're now debating, is it an advantage to get a bye straight to nationals for the women, or is it an advantage to actually get to sail the semifinals and get to practice at the venue? Now we don't have to talk about that, which makes me happy.
So as we look through the events here, we see that 2 of them have already taken place. We've got CISA, who graduated TAMUG and Texas A&M, their 2 berths to semifinals. And we've got the PCCSC conference. Stanford, Hawaii, and UCSB have already punched their ticket to semifinals. But we still have 5 more conferences to look at.
Did you say they graduated to the nationals? Can you graduate to a national championship?
Sure, you know, they started at the lower grade at their conference and they graduated. Whatever, Zeke, I'm trying to be colorful here.
Super bright, Chris, as always.
Need a new dry suit? Enter US Sailing's Dry Suit Instagram contest for your chance to win a new Gill dry suit. All you have to do is take an Instagram video that explains why you need a new dry suit. In the caption, tag @USSailing1 and @GillGear, and be sure to use the hashtag DrySuitContest. The 3 finalists will be posted to the US Sailing Facebook page on Monday, April 28th for fan voting. The video with the most likes after 48 hours will be crowned the winner of a new Gill dry suit and will be invited to join me on Chalk Talk. Time to get those cameras rolling and let's get creative.
CESA hosts their women's champs this weekend at the College of Charleston. They get 4 berths, rounded up from 3.6. Not that I understand the logic of rounding for a berth, but that's what you told me, Chris, so we'll go with it. We had to search for their fall conference champs to make sure that they actually had 4 teams, and they in fact did have 6 teams. Pretty big divide between 4 and 5. So I think if these teams can actually go, I think NC State and Jacksonville will be on the outside looking in, looking up at Miami, Charleston, Eckerd, and USF to move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, Zeke, I think I agree with you, but you know, watch out for this Jacksonville team. They may have had a tough one in the fall, but they're on a fast trajectory ever since John Fadre took over as head coach. If they don't get it done this year, definitely look for them in the future. Incidentally, John Fadre, best looking coach in all of college sailing, according to our poll last fall. And moving on into Mesa. Now typically Mesa, and NISA mix it up for some of the most competitive women's teams, but to be honest, this year, as close as Mesa may be competitive with each other, NISA overall I think is going to be much stronger, with the exception maybe of the Naval Academy. Mary Hall, Marissa Lehan, and some very capable crews have been on the right track to put together a pretty good showing at nationals. Behind them, ODU and Georgetown have had some pretty bright spots this season, and I think they'll be mixing it up for 2nd and 3rd. Now Hobart, or William Smith as the women's college is called, had kind of a funny year. They had their best showing this fall at the Fall Women's Championship at home. They placed second, but since then they've just been kind of on a downward slope in the results. If this trend continues, I think the door is going to be open there for St. Mary's and Cornell to slip in. And if they really plummet for some reason, it could even open the door for a team like George Washington or Columbia to slide in. But assuming Hobart William Smith can put together a pretty decent result, I think those teams that I mentioned are going to round out the top 6. Navy, ODU, Georgetown, Hobart William Smith, St. Mary's, Cornell.
Well, Chris, don't forget about Fordham. I think those guys could sneak in there as well. If Hobart's not up to pace this weekend, I would look for Fordham to get that last spot. To the Midwest women's scene, as always, it's going to be really tight. Those points are always super close at those qualifiers, and anybody can mess up and open the door for somebody. Wisco's traveled out east a few times, so I think that they may have the edge at this one, but Minnesota's got some really good talent. And this event's still 2 weeks out, and they do get a 3rd spot to the Nationals as well, so watch out for teams like Michigan and the University of Illinois Chicago, along with Wisconsin Milwaukee and Ohio State.
Turning now to NOWIXA, the Northwest Conference for college sailing. This one's going to be hosted not this coming weekend, but the one after that at Western Washington, and it's for 2 berths at Nationals. Now, looking at last year's spring qualifiers, a lot of the sailors who competed there have graduated, so it's kind of up in the air here. Looking at University of Washington as the favorite, they've got Lily Grimshaw and Molly Utter, who did sail last year and won just about every race at that event. If they can pull together a B division this year, they're going to be strong. Also, Western Washington at home, they've got a rock star freshman, Leah Fetterman. We have seen a few other teams put together women's squads that looked pretty good. The University of British Columbia from Canada had a pretty good showing at the St. Francis Interconference with their all-women's team. And Oregon State had a tough time at this event last year, but they're returning all their sailors, so experience has got to count for something. This one will be a little bit of a toss of the dice here. I'm not sure anybody knows quite what's going to happen, but my predictions would probably be University of Washington and Western Washington taking those top 2 spots.
Breaking down tactics used in a race are good, but having a breakdown during a race, not so good. Zim Sailing is your go-to source for parts and supplies to get your boats back on the course. Whether it be FJ or 420, Zim stocks all parts and has them shipped to you same day. Visit zimsailing.com and use discount code ICSAS14 to receive 20% off your next purchase.
So over to NISA, where as per the usual, we have the most depth of talent. To me, there's 3 teams that are head and shoulders above the rest of the field. That's Yale, BC, and Dartmouth. Yale's been doing a lot of women's fleet racing this year with Morgan and Marlena, switching off in divisions, while Erica and Deirdre, for their respective teams, have been doing a lot of team racing. So we haven't really seen these top teams get to go against each other as much as we'd like. But I think any one of those 3 teams can win this weekend. Dartmouth, obviously we've got the reigning College Sailor of the Year in Deirdre Lambert, and Kelsey Wheeler and Sarah Williams have sort of been sharing the other divisions throughout the spring and having really good results, but also been off the pace at times. So I think it's going to be up to that division, B division, for them. We know what to expect from Deirdre. And same can be said for Boston College with Erica Reinecke, able to win any women's regatta any weekend she steps into a boat. The question is going to be the B division for them, where Allison Donahue and Carolyn Naughton have shared some time. Each of them has sailed A, each has sailed B a little bit. They've been sort of up and down. They've shown they can definitely be in the top 5. They've finished outside the top 10 at times. But as we saw at the ACCs, they're able to share the division and perform well enough to ride the Reinecke train to a win.
Good alliteration, Zeke.
Thanks. So I think just outside the top 3 is going to be MIT. These girls showed us that they can win big regattas last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I should say, at the Dellenbaugh. They're starting to pick up the pace. They're on fire. So I think that they can be a threat to the top 3, but they will finish just outside. But they are decidedly ahead of the next few teams. In my mind, we've got Coast Guard, Brown, and URI, and these teams are remarkably even. Each of those teams has beat the other one head-to-head a few times in the fall and the spring. So look for those 3 teams to be in that 5 to 7 range. And it's tough to pick the final 8 spot from NISA for the women's semifinals, but looking at it, you're looking at teams like Harvard, UVM, Tufts, Roger Williams, BU, and Bowdoin is who I'm going to take. Bowdoin, actually, looking head-to-head, has beaten the other teams more than anybody else. So I think that Bowdoin's going to get that last spot to the semis.
You know, and this is why I love these NISA championships, because there's more than enough teams to take these berths to nationals. I mean, NISA could send 12 or 13 capable teams if they were allowed to. But what do you think, Zeke? I mean, are we going to see a big division there between those top 8 and the rest, or is it going to be a fight for those spots?
Well, being as arrogant and cocky as I am, I think it's going to be exactly as I just said it. There will be a big drop after Bowdoin in 8th, and you know, I don't know, maybe Con could sneak in there, UVM with an outside chance, but I think it's going to be decidedly Bowdoin in the last spot, and every other ranking is going to be just as I just showed you.
Well, we'll have to keep our refresh button going on the tech score over the next couple weeks. This weekend, the big one for the East Coast, but within the next 3 weeks, we should have all of our qualifiers for semifinals at Nationals.
So we thought we'd take a break and show you where we stand in the predictions contest to date. Here's that. And here are our predictions for this coming weekend.
And now for this week's Chalk Talk photo assignment. I have to say I've been very disappointed with the showing over the past couple weeks, so we're going to just blow it wide open. Anything you want, even if it's like remotely college sailing related, send it to us. We'll put it on Chalk Talk. It'll be tons of fun. Send it to me at chalktalk@chrisloveproductions.com, or hey, maybe you've already got it on Instagram. Tag us. We're at College Sailing Chalk Talk.
Just keep it like PG-18 or so. Thanks.
Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back for our regular season finale in 1 week's time.